This is the part where you stop dropping everything to tend to the needs of others and you start respecting your own time. If it doesn't feel good, why are you still doing it? Why are you still saying yes? Everyone says they don't have any time. Make your priorities a priority. If you're constantly saying yes to things that are not a priority, how can you expect to build happiness and continue reaching towards your goals? Everyone that's working towards something is prioritizing in one way or another. And you start thinking, maybe this is what's going to help me work towards my goals, but you just don't know how to say no to people. You don't want to burn any bridges. You don't want to be super unsociable, but you want to have that balance. So in this video, I'll be showing you my 5-step process to start learning how to say no, so that you can start reclaiming some of that lost time and start planning and using it to build towards your goals. This video is going to be part of my Better Who, Better You series. And in this series, we're going to be talking about all of the little ways that you can start building a better version of yourself so that you can reach those goals that you've set. So learning how and when to say no is something that's become a really important tool in my life and helping me balance everything that I want to do. As a young professional, it can be really hard to juggle all of the responsibilities that are thrown at you. And I found myself find it really hard to balance my corporate job, my side hustle, working out and training at the gym 5 times a week. And then on top of that, making sure that I have time to see my friends and family, as well as putting some time aside for my mental health. It's only when I realised how to start saying no and prioritising myself that I was able to start putting more time and energy into the things that matter for me. So saying no to things to a lot of us feels extremely unnatural. When people ask me how I managed to juggle so many different hobbies and little side hustles that I'm getting on with, as well as my full-time job, the thing that people tend to struggle with is how I have enough time to do everything. Everyone says they don't have any time. They say this while spending however many hours every single week doing X, Y, and Z, and a lot of the time that X, Y, and Z is not conducive with their goals. Especially as we've just come out of a pandemic, I feel like the culture of just saying yes to everything is really, really popular at the moment. But I think some of us maybe need to realise that just because everyone else is doing something, it doesn't mean that it needs to be your truth, and it doesn't mean that that's what you need to be also doing. And by just taking a moment to sit back and assess whether when someone asks you to do something, do you actually want to be doing that? Just giving yourself that time to think about it and even consider the possibility of you saying no is just a step that a lot of us miss. But knowing that you don't need to do that all of the time is so important, and that's what's going to allow you to start saying no and putting yourself first. Also, for a lot of us, having the courage to just say no and stand up for what we want feels really uncomfortable. Even though we know we all need to take time to rest and take time for ourselves just to have a moment, we often just don't. As humans, we're social creatures and we're all really empowered by being in a tribe. We're literally programmed to preserve our relationships, so that sometimes explains why it feels so hard to say no. We always want to feel part of the tribe and to feel accepted. No one wants to feel like the odd one out. However, if you're here, there's obviously a reason why you're watching this video, and there must be some tiny voice inside of you that's saying, I really, really need some time on my own. I need to start saying no to these people, and I just need a break. And you start thinking, maybe this is what's going to help me work towards my goals, but you just don't know how to say no to people. You don't want to burn any bridges. You don't want to be super unsociable, but you want to have that balance. So that's what I'm going to be helping you with. I'm going to be giving you some tips to assert your needs without apology, whilst not burning any bridges with people that you don't want to. So the first thing that you need to do is make a list of your priorities. Why do you want to start being able to say no to people more? What are you going to do with that time that you have to yourself? You can think about this in a way of what fills your cup. So what are those things that make you happy? What would make you smile if you did more on a daily basis? What would make you feel better if you did it on a daily basis? Getting a list of your priorities is all about learning what you want to start saying yes to more and what you maybe want to start saying no to. So now we've got step number 2. Make your priorities a priority. Step number 2 is to plan your day around your goals, and not to plan your goals around your day. I'll say that again. Plan your day around your goals and don't plan your goals around your day. Everyone and everything is trying to take up so much of our time and so much of our attention. And if our goals aren't already embedded within our day, it is so easy to let them slide. Once you've made that list of your priorities, you should start looking at your day or even your weekly plan and see where you can implement them small little things that are your priorities. A really good way to do this is making routines or habits, such as saying every single Sunday I'm going to go on a walk outside, I'm not going to take my phone, and I'm doing that because it makes me feel good and it helps me disconnect from all of the stress around me. Another way, which is something that I like to use, is my morning routines. So I love using my morning routine to set me off with a positive day and get in some of those habits and some of my priorities before the day has even really started. And once you've created this plan of how to fit your priorities into your day or even into your week, you really need to stick to it. I can't stress enough how important it is, as it's so easy to be distracted by other people's priorities and other people's needs, but you need to put yourself first here. Step number 3 is to start planning your no's ahead of time. Now that might sound silly, but it's actually really helpful to have a plan of how you're going to tackle a situation when it comes up before it's already happened. A lot of people are really scared of causing disappointment in others, and that can definitely come when you're saying no to something. Something you really need to think about here is, if it doesn't feel good, why are you still doing it? Why are you still saying yes? You've got to remember that your daily decisions are what build your daily reality. So even if it's something as small as saying yes a few times to a friend who's called you at 1 a.m. in the morning, you need to understand that this is probably having a negative effect on your mental health and your sleep. So it's up to you to draw the line and say no and speak to the friend at a more appropriate time. If you're constantly saying yes to things that are not a priority at that given moment in time, how can you expect to build happiness and continue reaching towards your goals? So if you start to plan and anticipate when those questions are going to come in to ask you to do something that you'd prefer to say no to, if you've thought about it in advance and planned, it's much easier to have the confidence to just say no. So that takes us into step number 4, and step number 4 is to actually just start saying no. This is the part where you stop dropping everything to tend to the needs of others and you start respecting your own time. So there's a few ways to make sure that your no is heard so that you don't keep getting pestered by this person to say yes. The first way is to not offer an explanation. You don't need to offer this person an explanation of why you are saying no. It is perfectly acceptable to just say no. You don't have to have double booked. You don't have to have other plans. You can literally just say no. It's honestly, truly okay to just not want to do it. And if the person doesn't respect that, then you maybe need to think whether or not they're even worth worrying about anyway. The second thing that you can do to start making your no be heard a little bit louder is to delay your response. So when someone asks you to do something, rather than making the decision there and then on the spot, you should just say, let me check my schedule. And that is something that is perfectly acceptable to do. That gives you some time to think about whether you really want to do this thing or whether you don't. So if it doesn't align with your goals, you can say no, and you can do that by just texting the person and telling them. I personally find that it's much easier to go away and think on a decision, and so I tend to go away and just say, let me check my schedule. And that just gives me some time to think. I find that it really stops me from feeling pressured in the moment to say yes, so that I'm really able to look at whether I want to do it and I can say no if I want to. The final way to make your no a little bit more effective and make sure the person on the receiving end isn't too offended is to offer an alternative. This will lessen the impact of your no and make sure that that relationship is not lost. Obviously, you should only be doing this if the person asking you is someone that you really want to do something with. I cannot count the amount of times that I see so many girls commenting on others' Instagrams being like,
oh my god, I've not seen you for ages, we should definitely catch up.
And the other person replies like,
yeah, defo.
Does that ever happen? No. But are they probably both feeling guilty about the fact that they should have organised and messaged each other? Yes. So you need to be honest with yourself about who you really want to spend time with and who you don't, and don't offer an alternative to people that you don't want to spend time with. This one can be a little bit of a difficult pill to swallow. However, how I like to see it is that there are seasons for everything. There's seasons for friendship, there's seasons for relationships, and sometimes you just need to accept that people change and people are not always going to want to do what you want to do. I think at a point in time, everyone has had some of those friends that are literally just drinking buddies, and sometimes it's okay for that season to have passed. Maybe you don't have time just to have them as your drinking buddies anymore. Maybe you need to free up that time so that you can spend quality time with your actual friends, and you can use that extra time to work on things that are in your priority list. It's okay that you're focused on your goals and that you're doing what is important to you to make you happy and fulfilled. You have every right to chase your goals 100% of the time. So the final step, step 5, is to lose your expectations. If you're constantly putting yourself first, please don't expect other people to. And that's okay. There will be a point when you've said no so many times that you will stop being invited to certain things, and that is going to hurt your ego. But you need to remember that it is just that, it is just your ego, and your ego doesn't necessarily know what your goals are. You need to remember that you are the one that made the choice to say no, so it doesn't matter if you're no longer invited to these things. And I think that's quite an important lesson for a lot of us to learn, including myself, is to stop letting our ego get in the way of our goals. All you need to do is remember your why, remember your priorities, and remember your goals. And what I wanted to say is just please don't let this put you off. Everyone that's working towards something is prioritizing in one way or another. If prioritizing one thing over another leads you to lose some people in your life that weren't necessarily that important, it can't always be a bad thing. So if you want to start achieving the things that you want to achieve, you need to start putting yourself first, and unfortunately that means that some other people are gonna have to take the backseat. So as I bring this video to a close, I just wanted to remind you that you are not irrational and you are not selfish for knowing your needs and asserting them. And I also just wanted to say that this isn't easy. It's actually really hard to start building up a habit of saying no, starting to prioritize your goals instead of the stereotypical social life. So don't worry if you find this hard, just try and take it one step at a time and you'll slowly start reeling some of that time back in so that you have more time for yourself and more time to focus on the things that matter. I truly believe that the best version of you comes out when you take care of yourself and when you start to put yourself first, and that's when your friends and family will start to see the best version of you. We all need to start thinking of our mind and our body as energy and understand that it needs to be replenished and refilled every single day in order to be full and happy. Especially given the pace of life that we all live at, we need to stop acting like robots and stop draining the tank to empty. We were not built to run non-stop. I really hope that you found some value in this and that you can really learn to start saying no and put yourself first. Cheeky plug, the first step that you could take today to start building towards a better future is by hitting the subscribe button down below so that you don't miss any of this series. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I'm going to be continuing this series throughout 2022 of Better Who, Better You, so make sure you stay tuned for what's up next. Thanks again for watching, have a brilliant rest of your day, and I can't wait to see you all next week. Bye!